Okay, welcome back. So, Ralph and the motorcycle are at the bottom of the garbage where he has eaten a bunch of apple off of the apple core and then curled up and fell asleep because he can't climb up because the sides of the garbage are smooth metal and he can't grab on it to climb out. Chapter 4, page 30. Keith. Ralph didn't know how much time had passed before he was awakened by the lamp on the bedside table shining down on him. He squeezed himself into the tiniest possible ball, wrapped his tail around his body, and tried to make himself as thin as the apple core. "My motorcycle!" shouted the boy the very first thing. "Somebody stole my motorcycle!" Uh-oh, thought Ralph. It won't be long now. "Nobody stole your motorcycle, dear," answered the boy's mom from room 216. "It's around someplace. You just misplaced it. You can find it in the morning. You'd better get ready for bed now." "No, I didn't misplace it," insisted the boy. "I put it right here on the table beside my sports car." "Oh, you'll find it someplace," said his mom, not much interested. Boys were always losing things. While Ralph cowered behind the apple core, Keith opened the drawer of the bedside table and slammed it shut. He jerked back the bedspread, yanked the pillows off the bed, and threw them back. Then he got down on his hands and knees and looked under the bed and table. Ralph wrapped his tail more tightly around his body. "Oh, here it comes," he thought. The boy's face appeared at the opening at the top of the trash can. Ralph's heart raced like a motor. Ah, Ralph's heart raced like a motor. "Ha!" said the boy to himself. "Here it is. I wonder how it got here." His hand came down into the wastebasket to grab the motorcycle and lift it out. Still leaning over the trash can, he examined the bent handlebar and the chipped paint. "Huh, that's funny," he said out loud. "It must have rolled off, but I don't see how it could have." The boy did the natural thing for a boy to do. He looked into the trash can again. Ralph closed both eyes and waited. He wished he had not eaten so much of the apple core. If he hadn't been so greedy, the core would have been thicker, and maybe he could have hidden behind it. "Hey!" whispered the boy, obviously very much surprised. "How did you get in here?" He was careful to keep his voice lower than the sound of the breezes in the pine trees outside the window. Ralph did not move. He was grateful to the boy for not touching the apple core, even though it was really no protection at all. "Psst, psst," whispered the boy. "Are you asleep?" Still, Ralph remained motionless except for a slight quiver of his whiskers, which he couldn't control. The boy was silent, but the mouse could feel the rhythmic drafts of his breathing. The boy must be thinking, but what was he thinking? That was what was worrying Ralph. "No," said the boy to himself. "No, it couldn't be." Couldn't be what? Wondered Ralph, who was beginning to feel cramped from crouching behind the apple core. "Hey, hey, wake up," whispered the boy. That was the last thing Ralph wanted to do. "Come on," pleaded the boy. "I won't hurt you." Ralph considered. After all, what did he have to lose? If he stayed in the wastebasket, he was almost certain to get dumped into the incinerator where he'd be burned to death. He might as well come out from behind that apple core. If he did, he might find a way to escape. Cautiously, he moved his head away from his paws and opened one eye. The boy was smiling down at him. Ralph opened the other eye and lifted his head. That's the stuff, encouraged the boy. Now come on, tell me, did you or didn't you ride my motorcycle off the table? This took Ralph by surprise. He hadn't expected the boy to guess what had happened. Well, yeah, I guess you might say I did, confessed Ralph, starting to rub his aching muscles. I thought so. Now, neither the mouse or the boy was the least bit surprised that each could understand the other. Two creatures who shared a love for motorcycles naturally spoke the same language. That must have been some accident. Did it hurt much? Oh, some, answered Ralph with a display of bravado. Anyway, I didn't exactly ride it. I really coasted off the table. The telephone rang and it startled me. Now, how about getting me out of here? Just a minute, said the boy. How did you get up here in the first place? Climbed, silly, on the telephone cord. Ralph instantly regretted being so rude. He'd better watch his tongue if he expected any help getting out of this trash can. Oh, of course, said the boy apologetically. I should have thought about that myself. At that moment, there came a quick knock on the door to room 215 and the rattle of a key. Help! Cried Ralph. The maid! Don't let her see me! Before the boy could do anything, the maid burst into the room. Oh, excuse me! She seemed to be surprised to see a boy kneeling by the trash can. I've come to fix the bed for the night. That's all right, said the boy quickly. I can do it myself. Thanks anyway. Okay, thank you, said the maid, backing out of the room. Oh, Ralph knew she was not anxious to waste time turning down the bed. As soon as she finished her duties, she was going out to the parking lot to meet a busboy, a college boy whose job was clearing tables in the dining room. Whew, that was close. The boy seemed every bit as relieved as Ralph. I'll say, agreed the mouse. Keith, called his mother from room 216. Keith, are you getting ready for bed? Sort of, Mom, answered Keith. You ought to come into our bathroom and take a bath, said his mother. Aw, gee, Mom, do I gotta? Asked Keith. Yes, you do, said his father. And don't forget to brush your teeth, said his mother. I won't, promised Keith. Then he whispered to Ralph, You just lie low. I'll hurry and take a quick bath and get into bed and turn out the light. And after Mom comes and kisses me goodnight, we can talk some more. Lie low indeed. Ralph was indignant. He couldn't lie much lower if he wanted to, and he certainly didn't want to sit around waiting to talk. He wanted to get out of that trash can. Once he was out, he could see about talking, but not before. Ralph could hear the boy splashing in 216's bathtub, and then hastily brushing his teeth. And for some reason now, my internet has stopped. So I am going to stop right there, and when my internet comes back, I will read a new part. So, sorry to leave you hanging. See you later.